A humble visit, a harsh judgment. She stepped into the flagship luxury dealership just outside San Diego, dressed in jeans and a plain white tee. Her name? Emily Grant, a woman whose appearance said little about the impact she had on the world. She was there to purchase a special birthday gift for her sister, who had recently overcome a long battle with cancer, a luxury car she had dreamed about for years, and a symbol of how far she had come. But the sales manager, Todd Benson, didn't see someone worth his time. He glanced at her clothes, scoffed, and told her this place was for serious buyers only. He even suggested she try the used car lot across town. Staff smirked, customers stared, and Emily left quietly humiliated, but not defeated. The next day, a lesson rolls in. The next morning, the same luxury dealership was stunned into silence. A Rolls-Royce Phantom, custom-finished and worth over $1 million, glided up to the entrance, its deep metallic hue shimmering beneath the morning light. The engine gave a low, confident purr as it came to a stop in front of the glass doors, drawing the attention of everyone inside. From the back stepped a tall man in a navy suit, tailored so perfectly it seemed to mold to his posture. Nathaniel Grant, billionaire entrepreneur, philanthropist, and Emily's husband, exuded calm authority. He took a deep breath, scanned the stunned sales floor, and made his way inside without a word. He wasn't there to flaunt wealth. He wasn't there for show. He was there with purpose, to confront a culture of judgment and remind a few people what dignity looks like. Without raising his voice, he asked to speak to Todd Benson, the same manager who had dismissed his wife just the day before. Todd approached, still unaware of who he was speaking to, until Nathaniel calmly said, "Yesterday, you turned away a woman based on her clothes. That woman is my wife. Her name is Emily Grant." Todd's composure cracked instantly. He turned pale, his mouth opening slightly, but no words coming out. Nathaniel continued, his voice steady. "You judged her based on how she dressed. But what you failed to see was her heart, her success, and her purpose. She came here to buy a gift, and you treated her like she didn't belong. That wasn't just disrespectful, it was wrong." As murmurs spread among staff and early customers, the weight of Nathaniel's words began to settle in. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a wake-up call. Who Emily really is, the heart behind the simplicity. Emily had spent her life building the Grant Hope Foundation, a U.S.-based nonprofit organization inspired by her younger brother, who was born with cerebral palsy, an organization that supported children with disabilities around the country. Starting with nothing but a vision and an unshakable belief in making a difference, Emily worked tirelessly, hosting local fundraisers, coordinating community outreach programs, and forming alliances with schools and medical institutions. Her humble clothing was a deliberate and meaningful choice, not born from necessity, but from conviction. Emily believed in being relatable, in removing barriers between herself and the families she served. She often repeated, "If we want to create inclusion, we must live it." Through years of dedicated effort, the foundation had funded mobile therapy units in underserved areas, provided scholarships for children needing specialized education, and sponsored adaptive equipment for children with mobility challenges. Emily never sought fame or applause, only progress and impact. That day, Nathaniel purchased the car Emily had admired, a gift not just of luxury, but of love and recognition for all she had quietly accomplished. However, his actions didn't end there. Outraged by how she was treated, he halted his plans to acquire several high-end vehicles for his corporate fleet. Instead, he made it clear that no additional purchases would be made unless the dealership made visible efforts to change, starting with training staff, reviewing hiring practices, and creating a culture that treated all customers with the dignity and respect they deserved. A real request, more than just a sale. Instead of walking away with anger or demanding retribution, Nathaniel made a request that carried far more meaning than any financial penalty. He asked that Todd, the sales manager, personally volunteer at the upcoming Grant Foundation Charity Gala to be held at a local civic center in downtown San Diego. But not as a guest, he would be working behind the scenes, setting up chairs, welcoming guests, and most importantly, assisting children with disabilities and their families throughout the evening. Nathaniel emphasized that this wasn't a punishment, but a chance to witness the very people Emily's foundation supports. He hoped that by stepping out of his usual world of luxury sales and into an environment centered on compassion and community, Todd might begin to understand the depth and dignity found in every person, regardless of appearance. And as a small but meaningful reward, the young salesman who had treated Emily with kindness and professionalism, Jake, was given the responsibility of handling the entire sale. Nathaniel made it clear that he valued empathy over arrogance and recognized those who lead with respect. What could have erupted into a public scandal damaging the dealership's reputation and trust with high-end clients instead became the unexpected beginning of a transformation not just for one person, but for an entire business and everyone it touched. 1 month later, humility and growth. 1 month later, the grand ballroom of the Grant Foundation Charity Gala buzzed with life families, a local jazz band playing softly in the background, a high school choir warming up near the stage, supporters and medical professionals gathered under sparkling chandeliers. Among the volunteers was Todd, dressed not in a pressed suit, but in a simple staff t-shirt, sleeves rolled up, and hands busy helping wherever needed. He was pushing wheelchairs, setting up tables, and escorting guests with gentle care. At first, Todd had approached the event with the mindset of checking off a box, a formality to smooth things over. But as the hours passed, something shifted. He watched children with prosthetics race one another, heard stories of families who had overcome incredible odds, and saw joy not born from material wealth, but from connection and resilience. Every conversation, every smile, chipped away at his old beliefs. During a quiet moment, Emily approached him near the refreshment table. Her presence was calm, graceful, and undeniably warm. "How are you finding the experience?" she asked softly. Todd took a breath, looking around the room as if seeing it through new eyes. "It's been eye-opening, humbling, and necessary. I didn't expect to be moved like this." Emily nodded with a small smile, her eyes kind but thoughtful. Her thoughts briefly drifted to her sister, whose birthday surprise had set all this in motion, and to the foundation she had poured her heart into, both reminders of how far kindness could truly reach. Then maybe it was all worth it. Not just the car, not just the lesson, but the chance to see people for who they really are. Todd met her gaze, and this time he truly understood. His eyes glistened slightly, and a soft, humbled smile formed on his face, less an apology, more a quiet acknowledgement of how far he had come. He had come to the gala to make amends, but he left it changed, with a heart fuller and a vision clearer than ever before. Recognition and redemption later that evening, as the gala neared its emotional peak, the lights dimmed slightly, and the spotlight shifted to the stage. Nathaniel Grant walked forward to a standing ovation, thanked donors, volunteers, and families who made the evening possible, and paused with a smile that hinted at something more personal. "Before we close tonight, I want to acknowledge someone who has taken a journey few have the courage to take," he began. The room quieted. This person came into our world with one perspective and is walking out with a different one. Not because someone told him to change, but because he chose to open his heart. He took a brief pause, then added, "Tonight, I want to recognize someone who just weeks ago saw the world very differently, and yet he chose to show up, to listen, and to grow. Todd Benson, thank you for your humility and your willingness to learn." A wave of applause swept through the crowd, but it wasn't just polite clapping, it was warm, genuine, even emotional. Todd, standing at the side of the room in his volunteer t-shirt, with a name tag slightly askew, looked stunned. His hands, which were still slightly dusty from helping with decorations, slowly came together as he nodded in appreciation. It was the first time in years, perhaps ever, that he had been recognized not for his performance, sales, or position, but for the quality of his character, for his choice to face discomfort, acknowledge his flaws, and grow from them. Across the room, Emily smiled quietly, and Jake gave Todd a subtle thumbs up. It was a moment of true redemption, one that didn't erase the past, but honored the transformation that had taken place. A new direction. Following the gala, Todd returned to the dealership with a renewed mindset and a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. The experience had shaken him in the best way possible. He no longer saw himself as just a manager of luxury inventory, but as a leader who could shape a healthier workplace culture far removed from the man who once smirked at a woman in jeans and told her to visit the used car lot. He immediately reached out to Jake, whose integrity during Emily's visit had not gone unnoticed. The two sat down to evaluate their entire sales process from top to bottom. Together, they eliminated outdated protocols that encourage snap judgments based on appearances. They replaced them with a new philosophy centered on respect, empathy, and the understanding that every customer deserves to be heard. They launched comprehensive staff workshops focused on unconscious bias, empathy-driven engagement, and active listening. They even partnered with local nonprofits and community leaders to host monthly seminars and community days, encouraging their team to connect beyond the sales floor. The atmosphere at the dealership began to shift. Staff became more collaborative. Confidence grew, not the kind born of arrogance, but of shared purpose. Customers noticed the difference almost immediately. Online reviews reflected a newfound warmth. Repeat customers began recommending the dealership not for its prices or vehicles, but for how the place made them feel. Sales rose not because of aggressive tactics, but because people now felt truly welcomed. Word spread quickly through word of mouth, and customers appreciated the newfound sense of trust and dignity values that resonate deeply with American families seeking more than just a transaction. The dealership became a place that felt personal, almost like the kind of family-owned business where everyone knows your name. The dealership became more than a place to buy a car. It became a symbol of what a business could look like when it led with values. The legacy continues, and Nathaniel continued their tireless efforts with the Grant Hope Foundation, which had now begun expanding into more cities and communities across the country. From launching new adaptive sports programs in places like Denver and Austin to opening learning centers for children with special needs, such as the recently completed Harmony Learning Center in Phoenix, the foundation's reach was growing far beyond what Emily had once imagined. But even as their influence grew, Emily stayed grounded. She still attended every planning meeting, personally visited each new location, and insisted on speaking directly with the families the foundation served. Her simple wardrobe remained unchanged: jeans, flats, and a soft cardigan. To Emily, it was a statement. That impact didn't need glamour, and leadership didn't require spectacle. Impact, she often reminded the team, should never require a spotlight, it should create one for others. Jake, the young and earnest salesman who had once spoken up during Emily's visit, offering her a brochure when no one else would, and quietly apologizing for the treatment she received with genuine sincerity in the showroom when no one else did, was promoted to assistant manager. Under his guidance, the dealership continued its cultural transformation, fostering mentorship, empathy, and equality among staff. And Todd? He didn't stop volunteering after the gala. In fact, he took on a more active role, with the foundation coordinating events, organizing transportation for families, and even helping recruit volunteers from other dealerships and companies. What started as an obligation had grown into a calling, and each time he wheeled a child onto the basketball court or cheered them on from the sidelines, he remembered what it meant to be part of something bigger than himself. A final reflection sometimes, life presents us with unexpected lessons. A single moment, a single interaction can shift the way we see the world. What begins as a snap judgment can, when challenged, evolve into a deeper understanding. What starts as embarrassment being dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated can blossom into empowerment, clarity, and purpose. And what at first feels like a painful confrontation may, in fact, open the door to meaningful transformation. Todd learned that lesson, not through lectures or punishment, but through humility, service, and reflection. Emily reminded us that strength doesn't always wear expensive clothes or demand attention. It walks with quiet dignity and chooses empathy over ego. And Nathaniel demonstrated that the true use of power is not to dominate, but to uplift. So often, we rush to categorize others, to assume, label, or dismiss based on the surface. But sometimes, the person you least expect is the one carrying the greatest story. Never underestimate someone in plain clothes. You might just be looking at the kindest heart, the sharpest mind, or the strongest soul in the room, because appearances fade. But character, compassion, and courage, they're what truly define us in the end. And sometimes, the most powerful statement you can make is to simply treat others with quiet, unwavering respect. Lessons from the story. 1. Never judge someone by their appearance. Emily may have looked simple on the outside, dressed plainly, and without any hint of her remarkable accomplishments. Yet beneath that unassuming exterior was a heart filled with boundless compassion and a tireless commitment to bettering the lives of thousands of children. Her foundation was more than just an organization. It was a beacon of hope, providing resources, opportunities, and love to those who needed it most. This powerful story reminds us that true value doesn't lie in superficial appearances or external markers of success, but in the depth of our actions, the strength of our character, and the genuine kindness we show to others. 2. Kindness and respect can transform entire systems. A single act of empathy from Emily and Nathaniel didn't just shift one person's mindset, it became a powerful catalyst, sparking widespread cultural change throughout the entire organization. Their compassionate approach encouraged reflection and dialogue among staff, creating a ripple effect of positivity. This newfound perspective didn't just improve workplace dynamics, it fundamentally reshaped the company's core values, policies, and everyday interactions, proving that real transformation begins with empathy and understanding. 3. The greatest power isn't used for revenge, but for awakening. Nathaniel didn't use his wealth to punish. Instead, he chose to enlighten, inspire, and guide others toward genuine growth. He understood that true strength lies not in retaliation, but in empowering others through education, understanding, and compassion. His approach demonstrated the profound impact that patience and wisdom can have, fostering lasting change far beyond what revenge could ever achieve. 4. Everyone is capable of change if they're willing to face themselves. Todd's journey shows us that even individuals who initially seem indifferent or closed off to the feelings of others have the potential to transform dramatically. By courageously confronting his own biases, Todd was able to shift from being someone who dismissed others based on superficial judgments to becoming a genuine inspiration who actively embodies empathy, understanding, and kindness. His story reinforces that true growth often comes from honest self-reflection and the willingness to change one's heart and mindset. Meaningful message. True worth isn't worn, it's lived. It's not about what you wear, the brands you choose, or the labels others place upon you. It's about how you treat people, the compassion you show, and the integrity with which you uphold your values. Every interaction is an opportunity to leave a positive impact, to uplift, encourage, and inspire. Lead with kindness and genuine empathy. Regardless of your background, your past experiences, or your current circumstances, remember that one small, heartfelt action today can create powerful change, spreading warmth and positivity into someone else's life and echoing far beyond that single moment. Every choice you make has the potential to transform the lives of others and the community around you. At Toch Story, we believe stories like this aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be lived. Kindness, humility, and the power of change are why we bring you real, emotional, and inspiring stories that speak to the heart. Short story about Steve Jobs and transformation at Apple. In 1985, Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, faced one of the most challenging and bitter moments in his career when he was fired from the very company he had created. It was a devastating blow, one that could easily lead anyone to anger and bitterness. However, Steve chose neither revenge nor defeat. Instead, he used his time away from Apple to reflect, innovate, and develop new ideas, ultimately building new ventures. When invited back to Apple in 1997, Steve Jobs didn't return seeking vengeance. He returned with an even stronger vision to completely transform the culture and philosophy of Apple. Jobs began by listening deeply, understanding, and inspiring others. He emphasized innovation and excellence in every product. Through his powerful vision and decisive leadership, he gradually reshaped the company's internal culture. Rather than retaliating against those who had removed him, Steve worked to change their minds, inspiring them to believe in his vision and collaborate on rebuilding Apple. As a result, Apple not only recovered, but flourished into one of the most innovative and successful brands in tech history. Products such as the iPhone, iPad, and MacBook revolutionized the global tech industry and transformed the way people around the world communicate and interact. Lesson learned. True strength is not found in revenge, but in the ability to transform systems through vision, creativity, and determination. Never allow anger to dictate your actions. Instead, use it as motivation to change the world positively. Don't miss out. If this story touched your heart, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Toch Story today. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Each one a journey of emotion, lessons, and hope. Because sometimes, just one story can change the way you see the world.